Hello and welcome to You're Wrong About Musicals. I'm Esme.
I'm
And
now.
welcome to How's Part 2. We haven't come up with a joke yet.
I'm happy it closed. Go.
This is going to be a quick one and a short one this week because we are going to be busy around this time. So yeah, this is probably going to be our shortest episode. And next week, we will actually save what we're doing next week for the end of this episode. Because once Nell starts talking about it, she won't stop.
I don't stop.
And so
I'm so excited for next week.
We need time to fully do that. But we're recording this on the 28th of August. Dates are important here because we are discussing.
Guys, fun fact. If you notice when you listen to the Newsies episode that there's a weird cut or like a weird tonal difference from when we're talking about the Broadway run to the UKZ's version. It's because we just finished recording the UKZ's bit now. Because we got by the end of doing the first bit of Newsies, we were so tired. We were like, stop.
I just can't do this. I'd seen Next to Normal the day before and was like all over the place mentally and
I just didn't want to do it. So I just want to break.
One of the Heathers things that I posted today, because Heathers part 1 has just come out today.
Fun fact.
So I posted a TikTok about it. And it was our first TikTok to actually do semi-well. And it was insane because they are all my own photos. If you've seen the TikTok, if that's the reason why you're here.
Tell them the effort and thought that went into that.
It was the most low-effort thing I've probably ever made. And it got the most views. But it's all my own photos from over the years going to see Heathers, and I don't know, I thought it was really cool that a ton of people have seen it now. Like little 14-year-old me would never believe that. Anyway, let's hop on into it. So we pick up our story again where we left it, back at the Haymarket. However, the world is looking a bit different. There has been something that happened between 2018 and 2021. I don't know what that is, but
I don't know. I honestly don't remember.
So it returned.
Something happened
Post-pandemic for a short 12-week run with a stacked cast with Christina Bennington as Veronica, Jordan Luke Gage as JD, Jodie Steele rejoining as Heather Chandler, Bobby Little as Heather Duke, and Frances Maylie McCann as Heather McNamara.
So the Bonnie and Clyde cast.
Yes,
half of those people are in Bonnie and Clyde
2023. The production was like an insane stacked cast because I've heard that it was people were willing to work and wanted to work, and Heathers was happening. So they were able to pull these insane pool of cast.
Am I right in thinking it was one of the first to reopen?
It was, yeah. So I had tickets for this, obviously, because Heathers is coming back. I was like, I have to go see it. But no, I was going with...
I might never get another chance.
I might never get another chance. And it's like post-pandemic and I deserve it. I want to go see Heathers again. Anyway, I was like, theatre's never coming back during the pandemic.
No, I have to see it.
So I have to go see Heathers. And two people that we know were like, oh, like I've never seen Heathers. Let's go see it. And I was like, I can't say, as we will learn from this episode, I can't say no when it comes to seeing Heathers.
Was this the first time you saw it?
I saw it in 2018 with my mum. Because I had to go see Heathers because it was my favorite musical.
Yeah, because otherwise you might never see it.
No, because I was like, genuinely, I was like, it's a 12-week run. I never thought I was going to be able to see it in the UK because it had like such a bad off-Broadway run. Little did I know. So yeah, and it was meant to like be one of the first musicals to open other than Andrew Lloyd Webber's Bad Cinderella.
Honestly, again, shout out Andrew Lloyd Webber during the pandemic because he really was getting theatre open.
Okay,
he was like, I would be arrested for this.
He was trying.
I actually don't want to be arrested.
No, he said he would be arrested, but he didn't want his cast to be arrested. No, and then it was meant to open like post Freedom Day. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
So Freedom Day was meant to be the day for our international listeners who don't have to deal with UK politics. Freedom Day was meant to be the day where all of our restrictions were lifted on one go. But then that got pushed back by a month.
Which, to be fair, was an insane idea.
Looking back on it.
This was in 2021, right? Like, we'd gone through a year and still they were like, you know what?
One day
we're just going to open everything up and hope for the best. And everyone's like, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for this day.
good. And so they basically, like, everyone had bought their tickets under the assumption that it would be normal, even though we knew, like, at any chance there could be another COVID wave and this could be all over. But then they sent us an email a couple of days after it was, like, announced that it wasn't, and they were like, oh, it's still going to happen. Your seats just might be reassigned in adherence with social distancing. I remember being so happy when I got that email. Like, I was so happy because I genuinely thought I wasn't going to be able to see it. Anyway, it got re-reviewed by a couple of sources. My favorite being the Telegraph, which, I mean, I read out their headline, but Heather's the Musical at the Theatre Royal Haymarket. Trashy, loud, and why so sexy?
2 stars.
2 stars.
Honestly, more than it deserved. That's a lie. Heather's was good.
No, especially this. This was the best time I've seen
this
Heather's.
was a really good one.
Like, oh my god.
I've seen it once. It wasn't this one. This one was really good.
I sent you a very legal recording of one of the songs.
Oh, obviously, yes. Because I would never do anything illegal.
We would never do anything illegal, especially not in the name of Heather's.
Oh no. But then again, might never get another chance to watch it.
Oh no.
So I have to watch it anyway I can, because otherwise
the thing. So Movie Web
closed.
Might closed. No. Movie Web did re-review it. And
guys, can you see where the joke in this episode is yet? Because I feel like we're making it obvious.
We're making it so obvious. Movie Web re-reviewed it, saying, Heather's the Musical delves deep into the deep end of suicide, bullying, assault, and gun violence. Perhaps it would be fair to call Heather's the Musical what Dear Evan Hansen could have been if it cranked it up to a new level, was set in 1989 and had a darker sense of humour. Mel's shaking her head.
No.
I knew that was going to get a reaction out of you.
Because Dear Evan Hansen's bad and Heather's is okay. So I'd
say Heather's is good in comparison to Dear Evan Hansen.
I think my problem is I feel like I'm going to be really cynical about it. Because Heather's is good. Like, I enjoyed it when I saw it.
At the moment,
I've enjoyed, like, listening to it.
At the moment, I'm going to be positive about it. Give it, like, when we get into the later productions, I'm going to start being a bitch. But this production was honestly amazing. And so the fact that it exists was amazing.
Yeah. I think
it introduced me to Frances Mailey McCann.
I love Frances Mailey McCann.
And then when she got cast as Bonnie, I was like, trust me, she's good.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know who this is. And you were like, trust me, you're gonna love her. And I did.
So thank you.
I think the plot of Heather's is good mainly because it's based on the film, which is really good. I think the plot of Heather's is good. Dear Evan Hansen just isn't. So I don't think it's fair to compare them at all.
So around this time, back to our friend Andy.
I see a very familiar name.
In May of 2021, 1 month from Freedom Day, Andrew Lloyd Webber was feeling poor and mad at the theatre community.
He really was.
So he sold...
It was only going to get worse from here in terms of his money.
And his reputation. Little did he know.
This was the peak of it. Honestly, for like the new generation, this was the peak of his reputation. Of just the guy who was like, I will be arrested if it means I can open up my shows.
We were all being introduced to the mental ways of Andrew Lloyd Webber for the first time.
We knew him because we watched Cats 2019 in cinemas.
But no, we didn't know how much of a weird guy he was.
Anyone who could sign off on Cats 2019. No, but I think honestly, for a lot of people, this was probably their first introduction to who the fuck Andrew Lloyd Webber was.
Yeah,
it was a good one.
It was a good time. He was doing stuff. He fell out of the Telegraph. It was amazing.
Yeah. He decided he wasn't a Tory anymore because he was like, they kept closing my damn shows and I lost money. And being a conservative is meant to make me money.
I signed up for this because it
give the single mothers those benefits.
I signed up for this because it enhanced my personal interests. And now it's not serving my personal interests.
And now he's a Lib Dem, which is arguably worse. It's one step closer to
him.
Socialist Andy, which I'm really excited about. Andrew, if you're listening to this, can I interest you? Hold on. Go down to Brighton and go to the Green Party headquarters and just talk to them. Because I feel like you'd really like them. he's gonna stop now. He really won't. I just really want him to be a socialist because I think it'd be really funny.
Okay. So he sold it to Ben Kenwright, who I think was his friend and original producer of Heathers. And in it, Ben Kenwright says, as we continue to learn and discover and plan the next chapter for the venue and how it will play a key role in growing exciting talent and exhilarating work, we will bringing back an old favourite so that the other palaces' Christmas lights can well and truly start shining again. After these months of both literal and metaphorical darkness, it's a nice feeling. And everyone's like, what show is it going to be? Is it going to be Amelie, Falsettos, Eugenius?
No.
Then, in October of 2021, due to Andrew
Weber,
6
months later,
it was announced that Heathers would be returning to the other palace for a limited run, beginning November 25th and ending February 2022.
Well, Esme, you have to go, otherwise you might never get to see it again.
I did go during
You have to go.
But because
obviously.
Because it was COVID, tickets weren't selling very well, so I was able to get rush tickets.
Oh, obviously.
Really easy.
And you might never get to see it again, so you
and
really
I was like,
have
you
to
know
go.
what? May as well just go see Heathers to make up for the year of Heathers that I missed due to the pandemic.
Obviously.
In a press release, Ben Kenwright says, anyone that knows me knows that owning a theatre in London has been on my bucket list, and Andrew has been a friend and collaborator for over 40 years. So when I heard he was thinking of selling the other palace, that mindset altered. Nearly 2 years after the pandemic chaos, it felt exactly the right moment to take a positive step and a commitment to the future.
Can I just say, who the actual fuck has owning a theatre on their bucket list?
Andrew and Webber's friends.
Like, I would get, like, maybe, going to the theatre, being in a show, you know, working on a show, you know, like that.
Producing a show.
Producing a show. Owning the theatre? Guys, I actually want to buy Her Majesty's. And I'm gonna rename it.
What are you gonna name it?
Weber's Cave. I know that this isn't the normal route we go down when naming theatres. Like, usually they're quite nice names. I think Weber's Cave. And Phantom is going to stay in there. And then it's going to close. Love Never Dies on for 1 month. Reopen Phantom.
Oh,
and this has been on my bucket list for a really long time.
By a long time, she means 5 minutes.
Ever since I heard that you could put owning a theatre on a bucket list, I've decided. You know, like how in Her Majesty's right now, His Majesty's.
Her Majesty's.
Her Majesty's to us.
Yeah.
There's like
the educated people.
There's a little build. I don't know if you know this actually. I feel like you do because you've been in there a lot. There's a little like Lego.
Twice in my life.
Lego.
Like, it is Lego
model. Yeah. A little Lego model of the building.
Mm-hmm.
Take that out.
Okay.
This is only going to be funny to us because we were just talking about it. Lego Concord.
I think you should have Andrew Webber like in Lego form on the Concord.
Yeah.
Like his face on the side of it.
Like he's gonna be like the little pilot.
Yeah. And he's also gonna be on the side of it.
All the passengers are gonna be my favourite musical character. It should be like all of the shows that were on Broadway and never came to the West End, and it's like, guys, in just 4 hours they can land in London and put on a show.
Okay.
Anyway,
it extended on the 28th of January, less than a month after it was meant to end, saying that it would be playing until the 1st of May.
Shocking.
It extended again by 24 weeks. With Ben Kenwright, who I think might be my new enemy, stating that it was always my intention to celebrate the other palace as a home for new musicals when I bought it. But now, the question is, what do you do with a sellout hit musical like Heathers in the meantime? There is never a sense
it wasn't selling out until you said it was closing. You'd extend it. That's insane.
He is really Andy's friend. There is never a sensible time to take any musical that is breaking box office records, playing to capacity, and receiving generous standing ovations But now with our industry in the situation that it's in, and so many shows struggling, it would be perverse. We are delighted to continue presenting new works in our studio, supporting the next generation of writers with the Haymarket, which is also a home for new musicals, from new works, sorry. And we'll hopefully continue to fill both our theatres with vibrant audiences embracing the building right now.
I want to talk about this for a second. Probably for longer than a second, because that's really annoyed me, actually.
Yeah, I read it and I was like, you motherfucker.
The bit that really gets me is being like, oh, but with so many shows struggling, how can we kick a show out of our theatre? How can we
like when the West End was in its worst position that it's ever been in, Heathers went to the West End and did very well.
Here's the thing, exactly that. Yeah, Heathers opened on the West End and did well, and it did like social distancing seats, right?
And it still probably made money.
Exactly, because you could genuinely. Here's the thing: you can put on more performances if you have to social distance the seats, because you can basically sell double the tickets.
No, and also like it was only social
like
distanced for like the first month, because then Freedom Day did actually happen.
Yeah, to be fair, Freedom Day did happen,
was the most anticlimactic day of my life.
I just walked out one day and someone was like, "I don't think you have to wear a mask anymore." And I was like, "I'm gonna wear it."
No, because all like the private establishments were still like, "Yeah, you have to wear a mask."
Yeah,
I was like, "That makes sense."
These guys have sense.
Anyway, continue.
No, like saying, "Oh, there's never." This is the thing that I've always said: if you are continuously extending, either just put it on as an unlimited run. Just be like, we're going to keep selling tickets until we don't sell tickets anymore, and then it's going to close.
Yeah.
Or in a proper West End theatre.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've definitely said it before, the other palace is tiny.
The other palace is tiny.
It's a tiny little theatre.
It's like, I have it written down here, it is 312 seats.
Yeah.
The Haymarket is quite small again, but it's like 500. Yeah. But still, like, that's 200 more seats.
I know Haymarket is definitely under 1,000, but
yeah, Shaftesbury is 1,400, and Victoria Palace, which is like right across the street from the other palace, is 1,500.
Yeah, like this is gonna sound really mean, but it is not particularly hard to sell out the other palace.
No,
like the thing is, a lot of shows don't do it because the other palace, like that fucker just said, is meant for new shows. It's meant to be, you try out your show here, you see if you can sell 300 seats. If you can, you can go to like the Haymarket and try and sell 500 seats.
You can go to the Arts, you can go to the Criterion.
Yeah, like all of these places are small and you keep going up and up and up.
I'm not saying go to Drury Lane.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go to the Shaftesbury.
I think this is again where the big problem with keeping Heathers in the other palace comes in, because Heathers could continuously sell those 300 seats, they kept it in there. So then shows like possibly one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Really?
Bake Off the musical. That's hyperbole.
Okay,
but
I was about to say
Bake Off the musical, which was a really good show, to be fair.
No, I had a good time. Enjoyed it. Someone asked me about it the other day, and I was like, I laughed. It was fun.
I think it was really good.
What more could I ask for from the Bake Off musical?
But the problem is, it was in the Noel Coward, and it just shouldn't have been. Like, that was another palace show that should have been there for like a month or two, maybe 6 months. Honestly, they could push 6 months,
and then maybe go to the Criterion.
Like the Haymarket, the Criterion, all of those stuff. I could see them in the Lyric or something. But they couldn't because the other palace was taken. So they couldn't see if they were selling seats or not. They just went onto the West End.
Yep. So where do I want to go next with this? They've done a pro shot, which I thought is good. Like, if you're going to keep this show running in this really weird position where it's in London, but it's not on the West End, it's on tour, but it's on tour for very short periods of time. It's not it's not making any moves back to America or New York anytime soon. Do a pro shot. Keep it, have that be the version of Heathers that lives on.
Yeah. I think as well, looking back, especially now with the news that it is closing, thank God.
Praise Jesus.
I mean, allegedly, there's some part of me
that thinks they might still a statement having to say it was officially closing. You know that's when it's bad.
Yeah, and then next year they're gonna be like, guess what's reopening at the other palace?
I'm not seeing it.
I won't see it again. I've seen it once and that was
You've
enough.
seen it once. I've seen it
I
5
know.
times.
I feel like the pro shoot was a lead up to closing
The
because it
pro
was
shot was genius in my mind.
yeah.
I was like,
I
that's
think
how you captivate this rabid audience that you've created.
yeah. I hate to like play into the kind of message that theaters tried to put out about bootlegs, but it is genuinely if there is a pro shot, less people are going to go and see the actual show.
I mean,
I
I
think
think
that's
no,
especially true with Heathers
I
because people aren't going to travel if they have a pro shot.
no, I think the pro shot for Heathers was made for the US.
Yeah.
It was picked up by Roku and it was put on very, very quickly. It has only been in cinemas and on DVD here. We'll get to the Heathers
That's what I
girls
mean, like
actually
traveling like
now.
internationally.
No, people aren't going
Like
to travel
someone from
international from it. I think they have been there when some people have traveled internationally. I can't lie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that like if that is your audience, that's unsustainable.
Yes. But their audience at the moment is scary.
It really is.
So let's talk about it actually. TikTok is massive for Heathers.
Yeah.
It's inescapable, and I think that it's got something to do with the viral moments that the show had in its very first, like, in its very first phase as a platform, which we talked about last episode. But then there was also like Meant to Be Yours going viral and landing on like a viral 50 playlist, and it was the West End version that went viral.
Yeah.
And then there's Hannah Alba was cast in the first cast. It was called like the Homecoming Run, which really pisses me off.
Yep. She's in SpongeBob now, isn't she?
She's in SpongeBob now, but she had a TikTok presence before because she was known as the Tesco's girl for doing "Here is my outfit of the day," and it was like her in her Tesco's uniform and like making things throughout the pandemic and her survival job. It was very sweet. It was very wholesome. It wasn't for me because it's a bit too sweet, but you know, I can appreciate it.
I remember her doing like theatre skits vaguely.
Like I remember it happening. I was just never engaged with it.
I think I stayed off like kind of theatre TikTok for a while.
Yeah.
When I first got TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, it was the pandemic. I was like, if I think too long about theatre, I'll get really sad because it's never coming back.
Yeah. Anyway,
thoughts of death aside, she was massive for casting in the show because she was dance captain and new wave party girl, but doing all of these TikToks and showing all this behind the scenes content of the show really drummed up support, and it because the Heathers fan base had been there since the beginning, but it made it massive and kept it going.
What made the original run so successful, like that very, very first original run for the other parts, was Mary Hope Fletcher and her vlogs, like behind the scenes, showing what it was like to be in Heathers. That was a big part of it.
Yeah.
As well as the fact that it was this kind of almost cult musical that had finally come over to the West End.
Yes, yeah.
That was a big part too. But Mary Hope Fletcher as well. And then to kind of reignite that after the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very smart move on their part. I'll give them that.
So smart.
It worked perfectly.
And they also, I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but they had her covering.
She was on like every night.
Heather Chandler. She was contracted to cover Heather Chandler and Heather McNamara.
Yeah.
Heathers is a show that's very vocally and physically demanding. We've said this in the previous episode. So, you know, it's natural that performances are going to get sick, especially during a long run, which is what Heathers is. Performers are going to get sick, performers are going to get injured, performers are going to need like days where they aren't like flinging themselves about being.
It's a thing. I bring this up all the time. Phantom changes casts really often.
Like a year, like 6 months or a year, I swear.
So like it can be a mix of anything. Because I feel like the girl I first saw was Christine, Lisa St. Louis. Love her. But she reopened it after the pandemic.
Yeah.
But then she left in like early 2023. So she was in it for ages. And then there's been 2 or 3 since then.
No, I mean, I think Les Mis as well does a yearly cast where it's like, this is our cast for the year.
Yeah.
And
with
then
both of those shows as well, you have people coming back.
and you have people staying, but it's very much like there is going to be a yearly change up.
Yeah, and especially like I think you have people coming back, you have people staying. You especially have understudies and alternate staying, which I really like in those shows because it is very nice. If you see a show a lot, and Phantom and Lamers, I think are the kind of shows you see a lot.
And like
Not
they
me
have
personally. I
money.
hate seeing shows like more than once. I've seen Phantom twice and it was more than enough.
No, it's not. You talk about going to see it every day.
I do. But no, actually, I talk about buying tickets to sit in the back row and listen to it. I don't talk about seeing it.
You talk about buying a ticket often. Every time you
Yeah.
walk past it, you're like, should I just go in?
Honestly, I'm like, how much could the cheapest ticket be right now? Box office right now, how much would it be?
But no, they have alternates. They have understudies. They have multiple covers. Heather's
Yeah,
does
yeah,
not. It doesn't have any swings. It doesn't have any alternates. It doesn't have an alternate Veronica, which
exactly. It's the thing, it's a long run show, still functioning as a limited run.
so because of
Because
this,
if that was on there for like 6 months, then the way they were running it would have been fine.
so
Like
the
having
the way
no
that
alternate
they
Veronica.
initially ran it with having almost 2 blocks of 3 months
Yeah,
worked.
that was fine because it was like it made sense and it worked fine. But then as they just kept extending it and extending it and extending it, but not adapting it in any
Changing.
way.
They made. We can talk about this now. They made one change, and they said in on the 2nd of September 2022, like a year into its run, they announced that on a big fun day, which is like a fan show where they encourage
Yeah.
people to come and like take videos, and they were going to unveil a new cast, do this fan interaction, fan service.
Yeah.
They added a. They said that Billy Bowman will be playing the role of like New Way, like it's some long ass name. It's like surfer girl, midwestern surfer girl.
Yeah.
New ensemble character, midwestern surfer girl, where she would cover all of the ensemble and all of the Heathers
That's actually insane.
because that's normal. And I've seen it before where they've had like even like before they got her in, where it was so obvious that they had a cut show
Yeah.
just based on
Because
the like
Heather's is a tiny cast.
based on the staging. I was like, someone's supposed to be in that spot, and like they're just not.
I think it's the thing. But like Heather's works if one person in the ensemble is out covering one of the leads. It
Yes.
works fine because it's such a small cast that you like this is gonna sound weird, but it's such a small cast you don't notice.
Yeah. No, it's like
Like if
they
there's
can
six original ensemble members and then it goes down to five for one performance, it's not a big deal.
they
If
can
there's
kind of
six
like
ensemble
work
members and it
around
goes
it.
down to three, yeah,
And I
then you
remember
notice it.
saying to the person I was with, I was like, "This is a cut show. There's empty spacing," and they were like, "No, no, 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 no. Like, how can you tell?" And I was like, "I've done basic dance training, and I can
I think as
tell."
well that's the thing is maybe if you were seeing it for the first time and it was a
And I've
cut
seen
show,
it 3 times.
yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
know,
But if you had never seen it before and it was a cut show, maybe you wouldn't entirely notice because the stage is very small, especially at the other palace. The stage is small, the set takes up a lot of it,
the set
and
does
there's
feel like
never,
it overpowers at the
yeah,
Old Palace at moments.
apart from maybe big fun, there's never a scene that feels like it needs to be full. So I get that. But the thing with Heather's is
It
it's
was
always
big
been a
fun when I
show that's
really
had,
noticed it.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like thinking of the staging, I feel like it would be big fun that you would notice it. But I feel like with Heather's, which is a show that, like you, so many people go back and see over and over and over again, people notice that. And it's not like a cool, quirky thing like if you go and see it over and over again, and then in one time you're like, oh, they've changed that line for some reason, or oh, they've changed this blocking for some reason, blah 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 blah, all of that. Or it's like, oh, they didn't opt up that, or oh, they opted down, blah blah
Like
blah.
I've had those moments of, oh, I've never noticed that dimension to that character, and they played it like that. How interesting. Or
Yeah, you're
like,
like, oh,
oh,
that ensemble member is doing something that I've never seen them do
like
before.
when I
That's cool.
saw like December last year, I
Yeah,
noticed that Veronica's meant to be really drunk during Dead Girl Walking. I never
yeah,
put that together, but the way the actress did it, I was like, oh, That's a new facet that you've pointed out that I've never seen before. That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's fun. It's like that's the kind of stuff that you want people to notice when you have a show that people are coming to see again and again.
And they know
You
that
don't
people are
want them
coming
to
to see
notice that
it.
half of your cast is out because you don't have any ensembles or covers.
Yes. So the super swing is named Midwest and Surfer Punk and was originally played by Billy Bowman. And they said either Paul Taylor Mills or Ben Kenwright said that they didn't know how to support Heathers properly because they thought that they were going to be here for 8 weeks 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And as the show has grown and evolved, they've learned how to support it. And I'm like,
I don't think they have.
That makes it sound like it's been there for 5 years. It hasn't. It's gone away. It's come back. You've changed stuff.
Yeah.
It makes it sound like the production that opened in 2018 has been running there since. It hasn't. I don't think that revisionist history.
But I think as well that is kind of what makes it worse. Because if it opened in 2018,
yeah,
and you think they run not continuously, but they run up to 2020.
Yes.
And then they go away for the pandemic, where if someone was out, you had to cancel a show.
Yes.
Because the whole cast might have caught COVID.
Yes, yeah.
And stuff like that, where you were constantly like worried that you would have to cancel the entire show if one person got sick.
Mm-hmm.
To then come back again from that.
Yeah.
And still not have alternates and still not have understudies and still be having cut shows where half your ensemble is playing a role that they have never covered before in their life.
To go through a period of time where the importance of understudies and the importance of having people in the building who can jump into a show at any moment and be healthy and be ready and all this other stuff, to like live through that period and then not look at your show and go, oh, maybe we should add an alternate Veronica. Maybe we should add someone off stage who knows all the Heathers.
Yeah. Like I think there's definitely a thing that, like you just said, the pandemic definitely highlighted how much we need alternates and understudies. And it's why there's a lot more, I don't think representation is the right word, but like talk and acknowledgement of them these days.
Yeah.
I think you notice it even more in a show like Heathers, where they're just not there.
So yeah,
if you go and see a show and you see one character play an ensemble character, but then you go back a week later, say, and you see them playing one of the Heathers, and like, oh, okay, so they're the cover for Heather. You come back another week later, and they're playing a different Heather. And then you come back another week later, and they're playing Veronica. Then you come back another week later, and they're playing another character.
But that almost like the weird thing around Heathers and the culture that it bred is that almost like lined the pockets of the people more, because I remember when I went in December of 2021 again, I saw the understudy Veronica. I don't remember her name. I'm so sorry. I believe her name was like May something. I was very tired on that. It was the end of my first time at university.
Oh yeah.
So there were kids sat outside like refreshing their phones trying to get a ticket for that performance because there was an understudy Veronica on.
Yeah.
Which didn't help because they were rewarding this. And I mean, they're going to reward it because they want to go see the people that they like to go see in this show that they love. You know? I don't know. It's a very complicated thing. But West End Understudies, which is a Twitter page.
Love this Twitter page. We follow them.
It's very fun. It's very like informative because when I saw Les Mis, I just checked it to see if we were seeing any understudies or anything, and we were, and they were very good.
I'm gonna say this on Broadway. I know that I'm pretty sure at least they give out little slips of paper in your playbills.
Even if
it's like, hey, at this performance, so and so is going to be played by so and so.
So even if an ensemble member's out, like it will be, and you get a playbill the second you walk in, so you know who's in and who's out of the show that day. On the West End, you kind of have to look for it a little bit more. And so I really appreciate the work of.
I hate to bring this fucking show up. Mincemeat. I think we saw an understudy when we saw Mincemeat because there was a little like letterboard, you know, like the boards where you can like stick the letters in,
and
then take them out like to make a new word. They had one of those, and I believe it said the role of I don't even remember who it was. It was the George Washington guy.
Oh yeah, I know
You
exactly
know
who
who
you're
I'm
on about.
talking about?
Yeah.
I'm
The
pretty sure they were
boss.
played in the boss. I genuinely do not. I thought like saying it a bit would remind me of their name because I
Anyway,
forgot their name earlier too. But I'm pretty sure they were played by an understudy.
yeah.
But I really have no way of knowing
Mhm.
because like even their headshots in the program look so different to how they look on stage that you cannot really tell. And I've never seen the show before. I've never seen it since, so I can't really be like, yes, they
I
sound very
know for
different.
sure. Like, no,
Like even listening to the album, I do not remember what they properly sounded like because
mm,
sound quality is
sound wasn't
really
really
bad in the
bad.
4G theatre. It's
But that's
really
because it
bad.
needs a reboot because Women in Black's been there for years and years and years.
It's Royal
Anywho,
Drury Lane, great sound quality. Back
so
row could
that's
hear
just had a
everything
revamp.
crisp.
So
We need to redo every theatre in the West End because you cannot
basically,
hear shit in any of them.
basically, I just did like a quick search through West End Understudy's old posts. What's interesting is that they have not posted about Heathers in months.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure they've had some understudies on.
I know for a fact that they've had some understudies on in months, but they've not tweeted about it. Um, So Hannah Lava, as I was saying, she was constantly having to
Mm.
come back and do roles that she didn't even cover. So a big thing about Hannah Lava and why she's so beloved in the Heathers fandom is because she was the first person to cover all three Heathers. Again, massive achievement. Well done, very talented
It
lady.
sounds incredible, but it's also insane.
It's also like upsetting. So
Like
in
you in no
November,
other show would you have one person to cover like all four main
three
female
three
roles.
three main like characters,
Three.
and like
Yeah.
they are very different characters. So in November of last
Yeah.
year she had to come back and play Heather Chandler. She had like left the show, she was doing something else, but they had to bring her back to play Heather Chandler. On the 24th of April 2022 she played Duke, a role she did not cover normally. And according to a tweet from West End Understudies on the 20th of April 2022, she had 4 hours to prepare for this change and was the first person to play all three Heathers. Also,
Jesus.
again, my source for all of this is West End Understudies, but they are very on it. Like, if you take any look at their Twitter page, they like
Honestly, you should follow if you like ever see West End shows, like even semi-regularly, you should follow them because they are very interesting.
they are very
Like it's
interesting.
very cool to be scrolling through and being like, oh, like sometimes just like, oh, so and so is making their West End debut under like going on for this role. And it's like
It's
that's
just
really
very
cool.
like you know, it's a very like they're very much on it. It's a very reliable information source. They don't miss a
Yeah.
day. It's if there's a show going on and there's an understudy in it, they've tweeted about it.
Yeah.
Um, so they say that Eleanor Morrison Halliday had to perform with a script in her hand on the 1st of November 2022 for the role of Heather McNamara, a role she did not cover. She also played all three Heathers.
My God. Like it's one thing to have one person. If it's a regular occurrence that someone is playing all three Heathers,
Yeah. So
that's also no hate to her for having to perform with this script. It's not
I
like
mean,
her
I mean,
fault.
like
It's just insane.
she did the like every performer in this show. I truly believe is doing the best that they like can do with what they've been given,
Yeah.
and
Like it's not her fault that she had to perform with a script. It's the fact that they don't have anyone ready to do that role.
it's more of like a manner like it's failing so above them.
Yeah. And the fact that they were willing to go on and willing to go on with a script to perform it just so the show could go on, that's very admirable.
Yeah. So I was looking on Carly Byrne's TikTok, who is
Yes.
currently playing the Super Swing. She
Mm.
had to go on for Heather. Yeah, Carly Byrne's. She's Super Swing. She said on her TikTok that she went on with 4 hours for Heather Duke for the first time.
Christ. I feel like
Um,
as well, like super swings are a thing.
yeah,
Like you will find super swings in a ton of productions. It's just so weird in Heather's.
the entire ensemble. and
Yeah.
all three Heathers.
Because like a super swing normally will be like you think Hamilton. A super swing will be like Burr, Hamilton, and
No,
maybe
not
like
even like Burr.
Lafayette.
No, it'd be like most of the female ensemble and maybe Peggy.
Like I've seen some which is like, oh, they'll do Hamilton or like I'm thinking like
The
Lawrence
ensemble.
Phillip.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that kind of duo. They'll be like, oh, they can cover both of those roles.
But then they just sit off
They
stage
know the
when they're not
lines for that.
needed.
Yeah. It's not like they're also in the ensemble or that they also have to cover the ensemble. Because I really hate this when people are like, oh, but covering the ensemble isn't really a thing. Like it's just the ensemble. You still have to know like every single song. You have to know every
You have to
single
know every
cue.
single
You have to
song, you
know
have to know
any
every single
lines. You have to
cue.
know all
Yeah.
the blocking.
And like the staging, the thing that I always find so insane is how like they can know exactly where to stand and exactly where to be because you're still doing the same moves, but you're doing them in a slightly different way. And that must be what really fucks with you.
Yeah.
That's
Because think if you are covering as well the entire ensemble, think if you're covering someone who's on one side of the stage, it's going to be a completely different kind of choreography or mirror to someone on the other side of the stage. Or if you're
it's gonna
doing
feel
something
very different in your body.
like think something like even like West Side Story.
Yes.
If you could cover all of the ensemble, you would be covering two entirely different groups of characters.
Yes, 100%.
You would have to know how to differentiate between the two. And so if someone saw you playing either group, they wouldn't be able to say, that is someone who's meant to be in the other group. They don't
100%.
know that kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's an insane kind of thing to do. And then to be able to do that and also be able to cover three distinct roles who carry the show,
Who
especially
are
someone
the
like
title
Chandler.
characters. Yeah.
Like Chandler, because she's one, her real self, and then she's also like
A
a ghost
ghost.
version they create for her,
Yeah.
and her real self is a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know,
Anyway,
it's crazy to me.
it's
I think it's insane.
insane.
I love understudies. I want to make that so clear right now. They're incredible.
Like I really respect them. I mean, I could never do what they do. It's
Yeah.
incredible. Um, it then like I was convinced it was gonna close in February. I was like, it's closing. It needs to end.
So you had to see it one more time
No, I
in
only saw
December.
it. So it's like I'm gonna see it in December, and that's gonna be my last time seeing it. I got £20 tickets from Today Tix. I love Today Tix as well. Um, went to go see it. Great, had a great time. Made my peace with it, 100%. Then it extended again, and I was like, oh, frick, it's just gonna keep going and going and going. And then I saw it again, and again, I saw it. I had a great time. Great actors, good show, great vibes.
Yeah.
But I was again like I was like, oh, I can't. I was like, I've said goodbye. Bye, Heathers.
Yeah. It's not even the thing that like the production has gotten worse or anything like that. Like, because you think like again, think like Phantom and Les Mis. They now have scaled down productions.
I saw the Scale Brown production with my friend who's a massive fan of the original production. She really enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
like I'm not saying they're now bad
No,
productions.
no, I'm just saying that
They
you
are
can still
different
get
productions.
something
Whereas,
out of them.
yeah,
Whereas
but
this
it's the
is the
kind of
same
thing.
production and like
There are people who saw the original like grand productions and not hate, but think that the now scaled down productions are clearly scaled down and not as good.
yeah.
Which I think is a fair assessment. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, something that was bigger and technically better,
Mm-hmm.
you might like more than something that is scaled down.
100%.
But like Heather's isn't like that at all. The only difference in production is from the other palace to the Haymarket back to the other palace. And since then, there's not really been any changes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's because it's like the for you especially, it's not like you're seeing it over and over again and you're watching it deteriorate. It's just you are
It's
watching the
watching
same
it.
show
It's watching it
over and over again.
outgrow a space is the weirdest thing. I looked
Yeah.
around at everyone and went, "Oh, we could probably all fit in a West End venue quite nicely."
I think they know that they can make more money because again, think if they can sell out a 300 seat theater,
And charge
yes, they
insane
could
prices.
yeah, they could easily go into a 600-seat theatre on the West End.
Drop the
But
price, make some more available. Sell
yeah,
out.
but the thing with that is now what used to be 2 shows is now only 1 show in terms of audience size. So they are making
They might have to do actual
theoretically,
advertising and like all that other stuff.
yeah,
They don't
well,
have
they
an
are
advertising budget.
theoretically making
The
less
budget
money.
is the teenagers on TikTok who are doing the
Yeah.
work for them. I mean, the tour's also been massively successful. I saw this girlie, no hate to her actually, I do want to talk to her about her finances though, who is on a tour of the UK with Heathers. There were some places that she was going to, and I was like, fine, like if you're gonna be there anyway, may as well go see Heathers. Like, I guess. And then she went to Crawley.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
I think it's one of like I think there's a difference because I have definitely done this when it's like your parents are like, oh, we're gonna do a family vacation, like a family holiday. I just said vacation. That's insane to me. I'm not American.
Like the record state now is not American. We
I'm
do
not
like our
American.
American listeners though.
We love but like your parents will be like, oh, we're gonna do a family holiday. Where do you want to go? Like, where are you thinking of going? We have no ideas. You're like, well, there is something that I want to see that is only playing here. This is me with Italy right
now. But that's a different
to
country.
Milan. And they're like, why the fuck would we go there? And I'm like, I just heard it's really beautiful.
Do you actually want to go to Milan?
To me, that makes sense. Like you're gonna go somewhere anyways.
Yeah.
You may as well like see a show if you want to see that. It's like that kind of thing. I think it's insane when people like do actually follow a show. It's like it's different with a band, but an actual show.
I don't know. I feel like I saw this woman on TikTok. I can't tell whether it was satire or not, but she's selling her house and following Taylor Swift around the world. I thought she was pretty insane.
But yeah. I feel like especially with again, my kind of main I really love like indie bands. And I know people that have like followed these bands around on tours. And I feel like that makes sense because it's going to be at least slightly a different experience every time.
Yeah.
You know, like you're going to be in different venues.
The girls who have seen Heathers 50 times at the other palace.
You have seen it 5.
That's 10 times more.
That is 4 times. You've seen it 4 more times than you needed to.
Shut up. And that is over 5 years.
I've seen it once and I'm content.
Oh, I love Heathers more than you do.
The show I've seen the most is a tie. Again, we literally just talked about this. Is Groundhog Day and Phantom Hour. I've seen them both twice and it was more than enough. I don't like seeing shows more than once.
Look, so the pro shot is out. It's in HMV on DVD. I saw someone going into it and buying it. It was in cinemas. It's not going on Broadway HD, I don't think. Praise Jesus. With Heathers finally having an extension, but I think it was insane that they had to confirm the closing date.
Yeah, like it is insane that you have to be like, yeah, we're actually closing this time for real.
Like, we're closing for realsies. When they said that, I think I sent a text to Nell that said war is over.
Yeah, you did. I feel like even though we were just talking about how like a lot of shows do this practice nowadays, I think especially for like Newsies, they're not as bad of a like perpetrator of this because to be fair to them, they extended their run a normal amount of time, and then they closed at the right time after this extension, and then they were like, you know what? Because of the success of this, we're gonna go on tour. And even though I complained about it, and I was like, you shouldn't say you're closing and then not actually close, just go on tour.
Yeah.
I feel like it's still fair to them. Like, it's fine that they did that. That's actually what a lot of shows do. I'm just annoyed about it because I paid money to go and see it. And I paid more than I would have usually.
You're just personally annoyed.
I'm personally annoyed because I had a really good experience. And I was like, wow, I can finally be at peace with having seen Newsies and had the best time possible. And now they're like, psych, we're gonna go down the road from you.
We're back. Anywho.
Yeah, Heathers they're in a league of their own in terms of extending and extending and extending.
And it was really interesting because I saw someone on TikTok be like, I have proof that it's going to extend again. And all the comments were saying, please, God, no. We need the other palace for like newer works. Which can be a discussion that we get into at the end about what we think should go into the other palace. And talking about some of the rumors that we've heard, because some of them are batshit. I'm just gonna say that.
Oh yeah.
Anywho. So, one of the things that the other palace has come under fire for in the wake of Heather's closing is its bad treatment of workers. There have been rumors and chatter online, but nothing like credible. I don't want to say credible because I do believe that these people, when they're talking about
Like
their
concrete.
bad working experiences, concrete, nothing that's been verified enough to publish in a newspaper.
Yeah.
So it finally has made it to the news, where critics have accused the venue of a fire and rehire practice because they have only a 4-day gap between the end of Heathers and the start of Rogers and Percy, a new comedy starring Sir Ian McKellen. The controversy deepened the claims that some staff were not made aware of the show's closure before it was announced on social media. Are you still owned by Andrew Lloyd Webber?
They're using his practices. They're
not treating their workers right. Oh, Sandy in the building. Others, well, he might still have his lair under the theatre.
Honestly, I feel like he would have gotten tired of hearing Heathers every night for 5 years.
Moved his lair. That was enough to move it. We're not made aware. And others have been told to send away for union officials that have criticised the row. Head of the theatre union, Betrut Philippa Childs, told The Standard reports of staff being told to send away for union officials, and staff were not made aware of the show's closure before it was announced on social media is very concerning. It is crucial that workers feel safe in raising their concerns in both the union and the workplace, and that they are kept informed of the changes in their current or future employment prospects. We are in touch with our members working at the venue and strongly encourage anyone with concerns regarding this or with theatre managements or operations in general to contact their union official. In a statement, a spokesperson for the theatre said, as many London theatres, we offer a fixed-term contract for our front-of-house staff in line with the time of the run of the production. Once our next production was announced, we then offer them the opportunity to continue working with us. We have issued the standard letter front-of-house employees on a casual fixed-term contracts which are due to end on the 3rd of September in line with the end of the current show. We are pleased to let them know that there is an opportunity to continue working with us should they wish to be contested, and delighted to have a number who have expressed interest. We'll continue employ the same front of house staff on the same rates of pay as we currently do.
They're insane.
So that's that, row.
Like, I would love to work front of house at a theatre. Like, I'm looking into it. I just need to have actual customer experience.
Talk about working front of house for Her Majesty's every day.
I want to work front of house at Her Majesty's. If you go in like a year, if you go to Her Majesty's Theatre to see the Phantom of the Opera, which will surely still be playing, and you hear my annoying little voice being like, "Yeah, just right up the stairs on your left." What row are you? Okay, that's at the back. You will know that my dream has come true. I don't even care about acting anymore. I just want to work front of house.
Yeah, but I mean, I think this is just highlighted.
I wouldn't do it. My point with that was I wouldn't do it in the other palace.
No, but because like also the thing about like the fixed term contracts is that you keep extending the show, so they don't know when their contracts is ending.
Like it's one thing. Like usually, like the first extension is like really good for everyone involved in the production.
Yeah.
Because it's like for people working like front of house, it's oh okay, I have this job for another few months. For people working backstage or on stage, good, I have this job for another few months. Everyone working in like management, we have money coming in for another few months. And then the second extension comes in and you're like, okay, this might be okay, but you know, I have a life elsewhere. I can't keep working here. And it's like you really can't have people who will be able to stay there for 5 years while you just keep extending the show.
Yeah, that's the narrative that they like to say. Heathers has been there for 5 consecutive years.
Yeah. I think it's that thing as well, because then one day you'll have, oh yeah, we're not extending, we're moving to a different theatre. And you're like, okay, my contract's up. Then like what, 3-4 months later,
they're back.
They're back and they're like, we're back at this theatre. And you're like, okay.
So in the wake of that, the news that Heathers will finally be closing at the other palace, there's been a lot of discussion about what's going to come in next. what musical more specifically. And I'm here to dispel some of you guys' hopes, dreams, and wants because Beetlejuice is not playing at the other palace, you idiots.
I love Beetlejuice so much. It is not going in the other palace.
Mean Girls is not going to the other palace, you idiots.
I actually don't like Mean Girls that much, but it's not going in there. I think the big thing is people are trying to do shows that they connect with Heathers. Because both Mean Girls and Beetlejuice, I can see how you can say Heathers, these two shows, but the sets for both of those are
100%.
massive.
The set
It
and the
would take up the entire
scale
stage.
that these shows
Yeah.
operate at, and also they could sell out places bigger than the other palace. They don't need to go to the other palace.
The only one I could vaguely see is maybe Mean Girls because you could do a very scaled down
If
version
they
of it.
scaled down Mean Girls, then they could, but I don't think that they are.
Because the thing with Heathers is a very, what's the right word for this? Mundane show. Like there's not a lot of special effects. There's not a lot of like.
It's not got a
How
lot
do they
going
do that?
on
Oh
in the
my God.
technical department.
Like even the set doesn't change really at all.
They have like the actors moving the set.
Yeah, but it's basically actor comes on, scene, actor goes off. Actor comes on, scene, actor goes off.
Where the hell will they put a trap door in Beetlejuice?
Yeah,
in
that's the
another
thing.
palace?
There's not like a thing underneath it that they could use for Beetlejuice. There's not really a.
That was the issue when Beetlejuice had to move theatres, which I'm not going to talk about. But the
Yeah.
issue was is that they needed a place big enough for the set.
Yeah. And the other palace is not big enough for that set. Again, Mean Girls, if you did a very scaled down version of it,
I think that they could sell out a bigger theatre. And
I
I think they're
genuinely
aiming
do
for
as
the
well.
West End. If they're gonna come. I don't know if they will. At this point I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe not. What else have I
think
seen?
like some of the shows that have been in there, like you said, Amelie falsettos, that stuff, they have worked very well there.
I could
And
see. What else did I hear?
I could see either of them going back. I feel like the other palace really should not go down the route of re-welcoming another show. Because like if Amelie or Falsettos reopens it, it's just gonna set the precedent that only shows that have been there before can go.
I think what else did I see? And I was like, okay, that could work, but I'm a cheerleader. That could work.
I feel like
that could work.
Yeah.
Those two, I'm like, okay, if they came, I'd be happy. There is like a dream list of shows for the other palace that I have.
Let's hear them.
Alice by Heart. I think it would work very well there. Now I'm being delusional when I say this, but Bear Pop Opera.
Oh, Bear the Pop Opera.
The Pop Opera. I'm being so delusional, but if it's gonna come anywhere in London,
I also I'm about to join you. I know we have talked about this at length.
About this so much.
Tuck everlasting.
If we are just throwing out like small shows that could work in the other palace, like,
yeah,
why can't we get something like that?
Exactly. I feel like Tuck is the perfect. Yeah, it is like the perfect show to go in because it had that same start as Heathers. It wasn't successful in the US. It was on Broadway, but it kind of flopped quite quickly because of Hamilton. I don't want to say spunky because I don't really like that word.
No, that word feels wrong.
But you know, like how Heathers had like the bare bones of being a good show.
Yes,
it just didn't succeed.
Yeah.
Tuck has that same thing.
I could see them redoing Amelie. Not Amelie, Anastasia, sorry.
I could see Anastasia. I feel like Anastasia could use a big set though, and I feel like it would help it.
Bandstand.
Oh, please put Bandstand in. I love Bandstand.
If it was I could see maybe the prom. I could see that working.
I don't like the prom.
I know you don't.
I'm gonna start. Hold on. I'm gonna start looking.
See it. 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee.
Oh no, that would be perfect. Put that in. I've decided right now.
Little Women. I'd be very happy with.
I'm gonna be so real. I didn't actually see it, but I saw a production of Little Women going on in a. I don't know. I think I was in maybe.
You're in Cornwall.
Cornwall, yeah, in this theatre that's carved into the cliffs. And first of all, I need Tuck Everlasting to go there immediately.
Also, like, if it wasn't currently at the Donmar, I'd be on the streets demanding next to normal.
Honestly,
could go there after the Donmar.
Yeah.
Anywho.
I feel like you could do In the Heights there, but I think In the Heights has already been.
there. I want In the Heights on a big scale, please. Please. I want to go see it.
The Blood Brothers there.
Blood Brothers is too big.
I don't think it has to be.
No, like it's too big of a show. Many people know it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
She Loves Me could work. We Are the Tigers. We Are the Tigers. That production of Lizzie that they're throwing around.
Yeah, you know what else? But I don't actually know if it has somewhere it's going yet. The production of Macbeth, Lady M.
Oh my god, yeah.
I feel like that could be another Palace hit.
Yeah. Hey, bring Carrie back.
Oh, I would see Carrie.
I would see Carrie. This is never gonna happen.
I think, unfortunately, Ride the
It's
Cyclone is past it.
No, it's never gonna happen, but we're
Yeah.
throwing out ideas. But hey, Paul Taylor Mills doesn't like us, and so we'll not.
I was gonna say something, but I feel like it has. Did Hercules do an open air place?
Yes, yes.
I feel like you could put a Hercules there, but I think it needs something bigger. It's
Yeah,
quite grand.
Yeah. I'd like something bigger for Hercules.
You know, it would not fit in the other palace, but I would like to see a production of Shrek on the West End soon. I really want to go see Shrek live.
It's on tour.
I know, but I want to see it like in a big theatre that it could be in for like a year.
Yeah. I mean, there's other stuff. Like I would be down for them doing something old. Oh, that Daddy Long Legs. Put that in for 2 weeks max if you really don't want to do it for long.
Do you know what could go in, to be honest, with like what's the current hype around it?
Yeah.
The Percy Jackson musical.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
The new series is coming out like soon. Yeah. I think this December or something. So there's hype for it.
I'd be down
for that.
Like if they brought that in, I'd be like, cool.
Especially for a very limited run, I think that could be fun.
Yeah. I would be down
for them. It could go in like a year, like next summer for the kids' school holidays.
I'd be down for them to do a really cool production of Spring Awakening.
Yeah.
Even though I know that there's just been one in London.
My problem is I feel like I've really only seen the stage with the Heathers set on it.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it's tiny. It's just there is like no space.
It's like the Heathers set and whatever they put over it.
Yeah. In my mind, there's like there's like lockers and then like hallway at the front, and that's the stage. So like, what could fit on there?
What could they like repaint?
Honestly, part of me is really thinking that they are so at the stage where they would like do a reblocking of some very well-known musical and just make it tiny, like fucking Into the Woods on the other Palace stage. Don't joke about that. 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 Hilarious.
Don't joke about that now, because I'll have to go see it. And I'll drag you with me.
I haven't listened to Into the Woods.
You need to. You have a date that you.
I think they should put Love Never Dies into the other. Please God. Having seen Love Never Dies now, I really think they should put it into the other palace.
It might make more sense that.
I could see Annie.
Yeah.
We've had an Annie tour in like 2014 or something.
No, there's an Annie tour ongoing.
I feel like then it does have to go into a proper theatre.
Finally do that revival of Sunday in the Park with George they've been on about for years.
Yeah, here is my big thing. Like, I think there's a lot of things that obviously could go in there. The problem is coming off the undeniable success of Heathers.
Yeah.
Is they will so want something that isn't going to even remotely flop.
Yes.
Especially considering the current, like, think the people that like the other palace has on their mailing list right now. It is not people who want to go and see Sunday in the Park with George.
Or Into the Woods.
It's people who want to see Heathers for a 6th time.
I'm not on their mailing list.
But you know, like, people are, and they've been seeing Heathers for the past 5 years now.
But they're also getting emails about Sir Ian McKellen in a play at the moment.
Yeah.
So
but, you know, like, what is that? It's like an exhibition or showcase. The one that I literally love this song. I've completely forgotten the name.
35mm?
Yes. Like something like that could go in.
Oh, Millennials.
Yeah.
Anyway, basically the sum of this discussion is,
I think
the main thought of this conversation is we're excited to see what the other panelists do next, and we hope it's good.
It has always been a space for like new and innovative theatre, and it's currently just been Heather's for 5 years.
I mean, you look at their run, like if you look at a list of their shows, it's actually all really interesting stuff. Like they did the last 5 years.
I think Falsettos is a really good example of what's been in there.
Amelie, Be More Chill. I mean, taking on Heather's as a risk. What else?
Yeah.
Eugenius.
There have been so many good shows that have been allowed to like try out there. And currently all of like their shows, what is the word?
Yes.
Have been pushed into the studio above
the
theatre.
But the studio
and
just
no one
seems
is
to be
going in that
hosting
damn studio.
Just seems to be hosting song cycles because that's what it can really host.
They have something in there right now.
It's a song cycle. Anyway. Now
something needs to go in there, something good needs to go in there. We will go and see it because we love new theatre.
Now, would you like, it's at that point of the episode where we get to share what we're doing next week.
Oh my god. Guys. I actually brought it up so many times this episode and I completely forgot no one knew that it was gonna happen next week.
For you guys, it's
like for like 3 hours. I'm gonna talk about the Phantom of the Opera.
So it is,
and Esme's got to deal with it.
It is gonna be Nell's birthday on the day that the next episode comes out.
My birthday is on the 2nd of October.
And so, as a birthday treat for Nell, I said we can do the Phantom of the Opera.
I'm pretty excited about it.
At my birthday, she had a mini Phantom conference.
Yep.
Nell's
guys, I'm really trying to contain my excitement at getting to talk about the Phantom of the Opera. Because the thing is, I talk about the Phantom of the Opera and Esme's like, can you shut up for 5 minutes? And won't let me talk about it.
But now I get the chat that I cut from every episode is like a solid 5 minutes.
Yes, I constantly bring it up.
You're constantly like, it's like an Android Webber did this.
This is just like in Phantom.
Because I know, because I've read his memoir.
I've read his memoir and it's very interesting.
We're not getting into Life and Times of Android Webber, we're getting into Phantom by Android Webber.
But we will next week.
Next week we're doing Phantom. We're not doing Life and Times.
But so much of his life goes into Phantom.
Okay, we can do Life.
His second wife?
Divorcing his first?
Divorcing the affair?
Yeah, we can...
Andrew, I love you. I just want to make it really clear that this isn't me making fun of you. It's me idolizing you. The
fact that he was able to pull is actually so impressive.
Andy, I understand that you are the Phantom of the Opera.
So, if you haven't been put off by that,
please listen. Please.
So now we can do part 2.
I'm going to talk about Love Never Dies next year on my birthday.
That's going to be the next time I'm allowing you to talk about Android Webber.
I'm meant to talk about Phantom or Phantom adjacent once a year on my birthday. You know, Esme's already told me what my birthday present is from her, and it's a cassette of Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah. I had it in my house. I was like, I don't want this now. Would love
I don't know how she had it or why she had
it.
My
grandma gave it to me
for your birthday.
My grandma gave it to me. It's like from the 80s. Anyway,
I'm gonna see if I have some Les Mis and like shit around my house, but I feel like I do.
Les Mis.
I'll give you. Actually, no. I was gonna say I'll give you my like gold paged book, but I won't because I like it too much.
That's expensive as well, probably.
It was. My dad bought it for me because he felt bad that I hadn't seen him in a year.
Oh. Tune back in for the next time we do Phantom of the Opera. Can you hear me now?